shed a little bit of light on that.
You know what? I messaged
just to add to that point, because when Ross was talking about his problem statement, I'm very happy to hear that, because that's a first-hand problem statement that we heard years ago. We wanted to make sure that people are connected in the healthcare industry, because right now the state that we are in, it's very much disconnected from each other. Just take one user journey end to end, and you'll realize that how many different systems are involved and how they are not talking to each other, right? So this is exactly one of the problems that we started working on. And it's been, I think, UAT that we have right now, we solve that problem very efficiently. It's cost effective. It's very, I would say it's very fast approach as well. And, it actually solves the problem of CD disappearing from the system at all, because we still have those hardware dependencies which we want to kill, completely take them out of the system, make sure that people are connected in the age of internet, like the way they are connected with other social platforms as well.
So, Abby, really quickly, where are you located right now? Where are you located?
I'm in India.
Okay. George, where are you located?
I'm in Southern California.
This is, this is just, we have online stuff now for storage. Actually, the first time I ever got introduced to it was during this pandemic. I logged into my online health records and I see all my past blood tests. And I'm like, this is so kind of so archaic on how to log in. And then all of a sudden it kicked me out. Our system was down right now. And I'm like, you know what? Full disclosure, I went to bed early last night, so I didn't know you guys were coming on until this morning when I woke up. So I messaged David and I'm like, Dave, can you give me the Coles notes? And he's like, it's on the website. Typical. David likes to give those answers, but
what do you want?
No, because I'm used to having to read, dude, on these projects. I'm used to having to research the crap out of these projects that we're putting on our show. And I go to the website, it took me 2 seconds to figure it out. It's so well laid out, and the what it's solving is just, it's in your face. It's really easy.
But that's why I said go to the website.
This is, and then you're like, it's working with Pack Global. So I answer, obviously I wrote back, I'm like, is it using Pack Global now? You're like, yes. I'm like, oh my God.
Mark's asking that question because most businesses in blockchain industry don't know how to describe their products.
Buddy, you have to go and search through every tab on a frickin' blockchain website to figure out even who the team is, what they do. And then they use this language. And I'm like, okay, dictionary.
Let me catch up on that. So Ross is very mellow and he usually doesn't come out his skin. But if you ask him about Polkadot, he'll go ahead and he'll go ape, because he's like, you read Polkadot's site and you do not understand what is going on, what direction you need to know coding. You need to know coding to go ahead and understand where they're going with their project.
Yeah.
So but that's why I said to Mark, I was like, Mark, just go on the website.
It's nuts.
It'll take you 2 minutes to connect the dots.
I read about this STO, and then I'm like, so of course it's me. So I'm reading about STO and opportunity, whatever, because if I really believe, I'm a use case guy. First of all, full disclosure, I'm not a pump guy. I'm a use case guy. I love freaking use case. If I love a project with use case, I stick to it. That's just who I am. I see SEC compliant STO public sale. And I'm like, holy smoke, SEC compliant STO public sale. This is real deal. So of course I asked George, end of January is when I think first round ends or something like that. But this is just like, okay, you know what? I'm in. Sign me up.
Thank you.
But I want to ask this. George. You're a registered company?
Yes.
Yeah, with multiple trademarks.
Pack Global is a registered company?
Correct.
Now, do you understand why I have this bitter taste towards our space right now? That you have actual companies that are registered.
Yeah.
Okay. Full disclosure given. Yet we are not and this is where the education comes in, and this is where G Media tries to go and educate the entire public about everything, in basic form, because people are running after, pineapples and, pickle and orange token, okay? And they're going to get rug pulled, but yet they won't look into a project like this, which will have a long-term benefit.
This is 95% are pinata tokens, buddy. You know that. They're just pinata tokens. Bang them, bang them, bang them. Oh, the candy comes out. Grab your candy. They're just pinata tokens. They're
and fortunately, that's why it's taken us a better part of a decade for the industry to get where it's at. And we see Wall Street now in hedge funds, and the big boys are in the industry. And I caution everybody to always understand one element. And here's a philosophical thing about the space, right? On one hand, we all, from inception here, we all were bent towards, decentralization and all this and all that. Remember, a product should be and will be decentralized, but business operations cannot.
Right.
And people fail to really understand that. You cannot run a decentralized business. We live on Earth. We don't live on Saturn. Right? It doesn't. You cannot do that. There's no such thing. It's like going to grade school in grade 1, and there's no teachers. There are no principals. The kids just run the classroom. How effective is that classroom going to be?
That's right.
You know what? I'm gonna. I was a big guy. I'm still a big guy in decentralization, but that facet of who is going to run this, you need centralization in a project. You do need some sort of centralization inside of a real project. I'm not talking about these, again, going back to the vegetable aisle. I'm talking about real projects.
Sure. Now listen, there may different strokes, different folks. I mean, there may be applications out there that need to be completely decentralized and fine. But if we're talking about real enterprise use, real business use, look for that business to be legitimate. Look for it to be registered. Look for it to be not just registered and domiciled in proper jurisdictions, right? If it's just a mailbox in the Caymans, I would probably look twice. Again, these are just common sense stuff. Look for a business that has a real team that's visible. In the case of like Pack Global, they have a very cool, unique way they go about it. That if you run and operate a masternode, which is really just a mechanism by which you support the network, right? You are entitled to a vote, and that vote gives you voice. At the same time, there is a central business team that has to run the business side, right? That is really runs parallel within, and has is answerable to that the masternode votes. So it's really a beautiful thing, and at the same time, the product itself is decentralized and distributed, and that's the way it should be, right?
And I wanted to cover my ass really quick because I said something a while ago here where I said I'm in. Just that's my own personal opinion. That's not reflective of the Gokshi. That I'm just reacting. I don't FOMO too much. Like I'm just not a FOMO guy. I'm not usually not emotional. I really do a lot of research on teams, but that was my own personal opinion because I have family members and personal life attached to healthcare in a very large way. So when I see stuff like this,
let me tell the audience one thing that's super cool, and that is Radiologex is completely self-funded. We're not beholden to shareholders. We're not beholden to an ICO. We're not beholden to anybody. We're completely self-funded. Millions of dollars have gone in, and this is now we're at the doorstep of our public STO, which is already public now. And what it is it's a pure security token, SEC compliant, and it entitles you to a royalty claim against the company. And so it's kind of one of the cleanest, pure interpretations of what a token structure should be if you're an investor in a legitimate project. So we urge you to look into it. We urge you to look and do your own research as always. Check the company, check what it's doing, check the product, check the instrument, right? And go about it that way. Now, we could have done, this is 6 years in the making, Radiologex. So we had the opportunities to do the ICOs and the IEOs and all these different ways you could have spun spun the same thing, but we chose not to for a reason, and it was never a money grab. Like I said, this is a product that is professional grade, and we never needed the money. And so all the STO round one fundraise is doing is getting us that much further along in terms of customer traction. We have a few hundred health systems and government entities already signed up to use us, and all that money. And this is a great thing too. If you're looking to invest in the space, look for your money to be across the finish line. You don't want to fund somebody's idea and pet project. Be very careful of that. Okay. And again, everybody, I'm just imparting personal knowledge and experience and advice. I'm certainly not telling anybody to do anything. If I'm being asked today to fund a project based on a white paper, I want to look really deep at it. I want to see the team. I want to see what their record of success, their expertise. I'd feel a lot more comfortable with funding somebody who's already got a product, who's already got customers and users of that product. And that way I know my money is not going to, and that's kind of, what the biggest advice I tell people. And fortunately, we've not tapped a large enough demographic in the space yet. People, even though we've been in this a decade, people don't understand that we barely had a sliver of people exposed to this, right? And so we still have newcomers coming every day who unfortunately didn't go through the great December 17 a global wipeout, right, of the utility tokens, which I always warned against as a consultant. I said, if you're a utility token, never made sense to me. Again, they're diametrically opposed between you having an appreciable asset that you want to appreciate and a token that needs velocity and use and has velocity metrics. Those two things are diametrically opposed. It's like I didn't think they were gonna collapse 90 some percent. I knew they were going to collapse 90 some percent. And I was warning a lot of people. Fortunately, and for me, I'm a private guy. I don't like being out there in public. That's for the likes of David and you guys. But we have new entrants in this business, in this industry, and it's our responsibility who've been around to at least open their eyes. That's it. We're not here to tell them what to do. We're here to tell them from experience you should look at, and always do your own research, right?
I remember talking to Ross a while ago, and I said, Ross, I think 2020 and 2021 are going to be the years of use case. We're going to see so many projects get wiped out because people are going to get really smart real quick to actual use case. And I can't wait for for this to happen a little bit more. This is just,
George, I don't. What's the current roadblocks or the transition to getting R-DEE app into doctors' hands and healthcare professionals?
Yeah. So we're in UATs right now. We're going into production mode in early January, February. Let's call it Q1 2021. We have large traction. It's a matter of we're trying to make sure which, by the way, I do want to emphasize, the coolest thing about R-DEE is our user experience. We've developed technology within the product itself that, for example, eliminates usernames and passwords completely, which is massive. We have real identity proofing built in, because one of the most important things for the healthcare industry is knowing who's on, especially now in the age of pandemics, right? We built this way prior to a pandemic, is you have to know who that person is on that network more than ever, right? And you can't just know that by having a username, a password, even a 2FA. A 2FA for healthcare doesn't tell me that it's you. It just tells me that you bypassed 2FA, right? So we know that it's you. We have built-in KYC, and we have a built-in technology that we partnered with Trusona and utilize. And Trusona are the pioneers of passwordless technology. And we have real-time identity proofing. So when you log in, when I transact with you, when I'm Dr. A and I'm talking to you, Dr. B, you know it's me and I know it's you. And there's no other way about it. Whether we transact, whether we collaborate, produce, stream the data, we know that the data is real and the person is real. I'm going to just allow Avi to speak a little bit about the product in a nutshell. We talked a lot about the network, the infrastructure that we've built, but the product itself is super exciting and what it really does.
Thanks, George. So absolutely, this product is actually platform independent. When we say available on mobiles and web platforms, irrespective of what technology or what OS you use, it doesn't matter because this is totally driven on the internet. So registration is super quick. You provide all your details and you go through. Like George mentioned, we have partnered with TruSona, which actually gives us the capability of passwordless authentication, which is super cool.
I'm sorry, Avi, just one thing. I want to emphasize about the product. We're not talking about your STO. We're not talking about investment. We're not talking about any of that. For anybody that wants to learn about that, go to our website, radiologex.com, learn all about the opportunity. But we're talking about our product and what it does for the healthcare space.
Thank you. So after you register, you need to do is do the verifications, because we want to build the trust in the platform, make sure that people who are interacting with each other, they are actually trustworthy. And verification tools, which is actually doing your ID verification on the fly, maximum within, most of the cases which are automated will give you results within 5 minutes, to tell you whether the customer is verified or not. Once you are done, process, you are actually within the platform. You can enjoy all the features like your fellow doctors, colleagues, or other healthcare workers. So the backbone of this is, like we mentioned, it's a communication platform as well, and this is where the journey starts. We create our own group, and then there are other tools available which are actually essential to conduct day-to-day business. We have a very good marketplace available where buyers can transact. And like I said, that it is backed by the YC feature, so they can trust each other, irrespective of the geography, because once they are on the platform, they are assured that the transaction will go through and the delivery of the goods will go through. So that's about marketplace. Then we have service on demand as well, which which is basically when skilled professionals, they want to basically give their services to the people. Like we have MRI machine, and we have some skilled professional who wants to actually go and have a look. So here they can register on the platform. They can actually find out the potential opportunities. They can connect, and they can actually do the services. Other than that, we spoke about the scans being on the platform. So what comes to the picture? This is the first time where a storage is actually DICOM compatible. We can actually connect it with hospitals' machines, where the images can be direct loaded on the network, can be viewed by professionals worldwide, which is a phenomenal feature, because this is actually providing you the convenience of internet, anywhere in the world, and also gives you all the necessary tools to go through the scans, and annotate on the reports, everything. Anybody who's actually sitting in, let's say a radiology department, can scan it and upload it. And, a doctor or somebody who's an expert on that can provide consistency on the same report and, can put it back. It will be available within no time to the people who are actually looking for it. And the data is always with you. Because it's your scan, you own it, and you have total control on it. We have built that kind of governance where we allow the people to decide whether they want to share it or not. If not, then that asset is actually secured with you. So, that platform.
And that's a very important point. I'm sorry to interject. This is huge. When the healthcare industry relies on the current status quo solutions out there, when your data is submitted to one of these titans of tech out there, you don't own that data anymore.
Yeah.
And regardless of HIPAA laws, I want to tell people, especially in the United States, as people don't understand this, regardless of how HIPAA laws, which are designed, those who know HIPAA laws designed to protect your privacy as a patient, irregardless of how strong that law is, and millions in fines go out every year, the second Google, Amazon, anybody, I'll name them name by name, they own your data. Understand this, whether you're a health system or bottom line, it's the patient data. They own your data. On Radiologex, we don't own your data. You own your data. You own the permissions to your data permanently, right? I want to emphasize that, as it's a huge, really huge point to me.
So you guys have HIP in the US. Up here we have FOIP, right? So Freedom of Information or Privacy. So, so just for our viewers, it's HIP in the US. If you're up in Canada, it's FOIP, FOIP. So I was actually going to ask that, who owns the information? That was literally going to be my next question. Like that just builds so much value to me. It's like, hey,
if you're the producer of the image, that healthcare provider, that clinician, bottom line, you as a patient, you should always own your data, because you're permissioning that clinician to produce a scan of your body. You own that, and you should know where it is, and you should be able to ask your healthcare provider as to where your data is, and you cannot do that currently. And as a matter of fact, I believe it was about 6 months ago, there's some legislation, which constantly, there's always legislation on the desk somewhere in every state and every federal entity, of the big tech people trying to get around that privacy and trying to basically solidify their access to you and your data, and be very careful about that. So Abhi, sorry, as you were finishing, I want to emphasize that that's kind of the coolest thing about what we do.
Yeah.
Right now, it's like a 2-week process to get my information. I have to request my information. Yeah. Ross, you probably know that up in Canada, you have to go to the website and request your own records. It's like,
well, even worse, Mark, is as Abhi was saying, if what the scan, when you scan an image right now, it goes in real time in our network. Real time permissions and access to that is happening instantly. To this day, right now, if you're not a trauma case or an urgent care case right now, it may take you 3 weeks to go through the cog by the time your image gets to who it's supposed to be. And this can happen in real time, on real time.
You think of how many trauma cases now that you see, like you have to call that specific doctor or that specific surgeon or something and get the opinion, and at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning, the ER has a trauma case, and it's like, let's call Neuro. Oh, Neuro, we have to get a hold of Neuro. Okay, you get a hold of Neuro. Neuro, give me 15 minutes. Well, this guy's on my bed dying. I'll give you 15 minutes, no problem. Like this is mind blowing. This blows my mind. This is awesome. Part 2 to this, David. We need part 2 to this, man.
I'm trying to envision again, what it's like for a doctor.
Go ahead, Ross.
I'm trying to envision what it's like for a doctor to, potentially have this system, to have R-DEE available. But how do you transition from an old archaic system into this?
That is, it's funny. The simplest step is the most difficult thing, and this is not necessarily getting into the last mile problem for R-DEE. R-DEE has already resolved the last mile problem, and one way we've done that is we've built this to be modular. We've built modular. We've also built ourselves to be what's vendor neutral, and we really want to be a plug and play solution. And we've spent a lot of money and time going after certain standardizations, including forward facing ones like FHIR, which will allow us to have the validation and the technical ability to truly plug and play. And you nailed it, Ross. Unless you really are providing that, it's going to be difficult to transition these systems that are built on some of the older, more archaic applications. So we've built to be, as easy to use, as easy to download, vendor neutral, can work with any of your existing platforms and databases. And so the crossover is going to be good, right?
Wow. Can we get part of this?
Well, you can have 10 if you want. It's
like this is more than an hour, man. Like there's so many different aspects of this that we need to talk about. It's literally more than an hour, because we can do a second part to this.
Listen, I'm more than happy to do a second part. For me, this is big because, as you have, Mark, a lot of my family members are in the medical field. So this is a game changer to me. It's not, and I'm not just saying that because there's some affiliation. No, this is literally a game changer because it will allow easy access for healthcare professionals to go ahead and get records on the spot. So this is great for me personally. I love it. I love real use cases in general. I just love real projects that are doing real things in the blockchain space. I know we have a lot of we talk a lot about blockchain, real use case. When you finally get something, you just it's interesting to sit back, and that's why I haven't even talked. It's interesting to sit back and just listen to George and yourself sit back there, and then it's all floating around, talking about what this actually brings to the table.